Hey everybody, this is Matt Waldman with FootballGuys.com, and this video is part of an article called Why Even You Should Use Twitter for Fantasy Football. The video is focused on creating lists because if you're a fantasy football owner and you want to maximize your experience on Twitter, you're going to need lists. Otherwise, the information can be redundant, it can be information overload, and it can come at a rate that can be overwhelming for anyone. So, if you've never used Twitter before, or you don't really have an active account, read the article, start following a lot of people, use the resources I recommend early on so that you can have enough material to create lists, and then you'll be ready for what I'm about to explain here. We're going to start with my Twitter account. On the twitter.com page, you see that I'm following 520 people, and the information comes just pretty much mishmash. You got a wide variety of information that's coming through here. A lot of it's not related to football, and that's not really helpful to you as a fantasy football owner, which is why you need lists. We're going to click on the profile and settings icon in the upper right hand corner, click lists, and you're going to see my list appear. And we're going to start at the bottom because this is where you create lists. You can use the links that I show in the article about how to do that if you're not familiar with it. But you'll see that my lists, some of them have a broad number of members, 134, 47, 64, 52. These broad lists are because I'm a writer and people follow me and they are looking for me to provide information that gives a kind of a wide variety of resources. So I do that. But if you're a fantasy owner, what you really need is one large list and then a smaller set of lists, so that you're really curating the information that's available to you on Twitter. And the way that I would recommend doing that is, first you're going to have one large list, which is fantasy football Twitter, and this is a wide variety of writers, anyone ranging from Matthew Berry to a guy who may only have 500 followers and he does very niche oriented content, but you love it. Whatever it is, put it in there. This list is going to continue to grow. You may have 500 members within the span of a year. Anybody that you are just remotely interested in following. And if you're looking for a Twitter experience where you just want to see a lot of content, this is going to be the list that you're going to look at on occasion. But you're going to use this big list to then break it down into smaller parts that are going to be really important for your weekly use of Twitter as a fantasy owner. And it begins with breaking news. We all want to make sure that we're keeping up to date with what's happening, especially on Sunday mornings, Monday before the waiver wire, anything that's breaking that you're going to get from guys like Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen, Jason Lockenfora, Charles Robinson, Jay Glazier, you name it, those guys are there. You can see I only have 6 members listed in this particular section, and you really don't want to have any more than, say, 12 to 15. And if you're really pushing it, I would say no more than 30. Anything over 30 is a huge list, and you're going to get a lot of redundant information. And with breaking news, you don't really need that. Then you're going to have go-to analysts. These are people that you trust. As you can say, I look to them on third down. These are guys that I compete against. That's how I picked my list. Guys like Bloom, Bob Harris, Jason Wood, Gene Bramall, Matthew Berry, folks that I may not always agree with their point of view, but I like how they explain their viewpoint, and I know how they play because I played against them enough so that it helps me use them as a barometer for my own decision making or for my own research. And so whether you use it because you find people accurate or you agree with them, however you want to do it, make sure that you pare that list down somewhere between 12 to 15 guys at most. Then there's the training room. These are injury experts: Gene Bramall, Stefania Bell, Will Carroll, Craig Zumsteg. I just named my 4 members. I play in dynasty leagues, IDP leagues, DFS, so I'm going to have lists for each of those. If you play in auction leagues, have an auction list. If you play in 2 quarterback leagues, have that kind of a list. If you play in salary cap leagues, same thing. You're going to have overlap on many of these lists. That's okay. You just want to make sure that you cultivate it so that you have a handful of people that you really trust for each of these particular things so that you don't get overload of information. And then I also have things like X's and O's, people like Chris Brown and Matt Bowen who do really good work, or James Light, a Dakota coach who does excellent X and O's work. NFL draft, obviously I'm interested in that. I have people who study tape, and I have a larger list for people to look at that. But then I have things like analytics, football data analysts, Chase Stewart, the guys at RotoViz, Football Outsiders, PFF. I have key people who are in the league, folks that I watch there. So that's how I use lists. That's how I'd recommend anyone to use lists to start off with. The second part of this article is going to have a video that shows how to put these lists on the TweetDeck and use them really efficiently and productively. So thanks for listening, and check out the next part as you get to it.